And we're back, reporting live from News 12. Nah, nah, nah. But yo, thank you for coming. This is very exciting. Pause. I just want to say this is episode 4 of season 3. Our guest today will be Little J.
What's up, guys? We're doing a multi-camera setup over here. I'm doing a little production.
That's facts.
Yeah.
He's the production guy today. So just want to thank him for being again part of the episode, part of this podcast. He was in the episode for season 2, first one.
Yeah.
He was the guy that literally told me, "Yo, little by little, get it a little more money, do this, get better at it, start playing around with things." And this is a new setup now.
Yeah, look at that. It's improving.
Facts.
Every day, it's improving.
That's 100% facts.
That's what's up.
So just want to make sure everyone knows, please continue supporting the Instagram, the YouTube channel, the obviously the main one is Spotify. Make sure you follow the podcast there. Any kind of following, comments, everything is greatly appreciated. And I just wanted to give a special thanks out to the people that have been texting me, DMing me, telling them how the podcast has helped, just asking me questions. This fucker here giving me feedback all the time with the post editing and what I should and shouldn't do. Like those things, come to a big assistance for me.
Yeah. You always need a little bit of help. Don't ever try to do everything by yourself.
That's facts.
There's nothing wrong with getting a helping hand.
100% facts. So today's topics we're gonna be talking about. It's actually, this is like your show. You're a production guy, but you came up with the topics primarily on this one. So I appreciate that because it comes to big help because also like being creative is very hard.
It's hard to come up with a new topic every day. Yeah, or every podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
But
like
yeah.
sometimes I run out of ideas, don't know what to fucking say, and I'm just like, I always never. You'll know when I don't have an idea when the episode takes a lot longer to come out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if it's because I'm beating the lazy shit. I'm beating that. So I'm being really good of not being a lazy fuck. But if an episode doesn't come out, especially if there's a solo one out of nowhere after such a long time, like this previous one, it's because I ran out of ideas to talk about.
Dude, it's hard. It's very hard to come up with ideas. So, guests come up with ideas too. You can help out Puka.
Yeah, and make sure you bring your camera, But today's topics are going to be about self-development, choosing good friends, tangible advice for taking the first step, and organization is the root of all progress. These are the exact words from Anthony Jacobs. So,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
before we start, can you tell everyone what made you choose the topic, bro, or all these topics?
So personal development is very important to me because I literally spent most of my life not working on myself. And so I felt a huge cost to my life. Like I didn't start driving till I was 20. Can you imagine that in New York?
Bro, I can't. I was like 14 when my parents gave me the keys.
It's a very different life. It's a very different life. So just a few examples like that. Like I didn't really take care of myself back then. There's a lot of things that I wish I was doing back then that I'm doing now. But the whole point of this is it's never too late. You can get started today. And it could be as little as just getting your room cleaned up, make your bed, just take out the trash if it's, overfilled. Don't leave that stuff. It's very little things that we're talking about here.
100% facts. I like the way you said that. That makes complete sense. And like I said, man, like to give you your flowers, bro. Your advice from that first episode of season 2 was something that I didn't know I needed at the time, but it has helped me so much with the things that I'm going through right now. And it's crazy, bro. It's just crazy to think that a lot of us don't, take initiative in changing when we're depressed or sad. We continue to sulk in it, and obviously, everyone has a different scenario, but when you really think about like, hey, I want to get better, like at what point are you asking yourself that question? Are you asking yourself a year from the time that something happened or a couple of months? Like, I think you should be asking yourself that from the very couple of days after, like, do I really want to be crying, sulking, and just being in my bed depressed all day? And some people don't have the energy to do something else, but your main question should always be like, how do I have a good day? And it's exactly what you said, taking the first step.
You got to take this first step. I mean, if you're in a position like that where you're in bed, you're bedridden, you can't get up, you can't do anything, that's a very difficult place to be. I mean, the first step is to try to talk to someone about your problems at that point. You know, if you're bedridden, you can't get out of bed, that's a worst case scenario, you know? So
Yeah.
that it's hard to like come out of that. But the first step I would think is, you know, talk to people about your problems, see if anyone could offer you some wisdom to kind of get you out of that. It depends on the scenario, right? You know,
Yeah.
you could be bedridden for multiple reasons. You know, you lost your job, you know, you lost a loved one, you know, a lot of things could cause that. And you really need to put in the effort to, you got to ask yourself, like, do I want to stay like this?
Yo, it's crazy you asked this. This is literally, I know you didn't look at my outline. Like, I look at yours, like what you wanted to ask. But this is literally like something that I have on my thing too. But
Oh,
yeah,
that.
keep going, keep going, keep going.
So you want to like you got to ask yourself, like, do you want to stay in that position? Is that your ultimate goal? And obviously the answer is no. Like, of course I don't want to be bedridden, but what are you going to do about it? Who's going to take the step? Is it going to be your friend that's, you know, working, you know, 12 hours a day that, you know, talks to you once every couple of days? Like the point is, like, it's got to be you. Fundamentally, when it comes to improving yourself, it's you. And some people, you know what's crazy? Some people, this is so sad. They take care of other people more than themselves.
100%. Do me a favor. I think it's, are you hearing any static?
I hear a little static, actually.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that wire. Can you, let's see. I'm going to move this over here.
It's gone.
It's gone now, right?
Yeah.
I think it had to do with this wire.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think. I mean, bro, I'm way out of my fucking expertise of telling you how any fucking.
Well, I'll tell you right now, I didn't know that wire could cause interference. So I learned something new now.
I can honestly tell you, I have no clue what causes interference, bro. I'm just going to assume wires touching wire. Like back in the day, I was told by my dad, like, yo, don't let that wire touch the wire. There might be static. So I use that simplicity today, and I think I guessed it right. I don't know how.
That applies in 2023.
Facts.
Crazy.
I don't even want to go into the deep conversation about that shit, but I 100% agree with you. Like, you know, in your instance, my instance, you know, we'll give our scenarios, but in people that are being bedridden right now, obviously they don't want to be in that position for a long time. I think it's just hard. A lot of people don't know where to start. A lot of people don't have guidance. A lot of people don't. They feel like they're the only ones going through that, you know, horrible situation, and they feel like no one's gonna understand. And that's the reason they don't open up and talk. That's the reason they stay to themselves a lot. A lot of men have that issues, particularly like men are afraid to show emotion. Men are, you know, you can't even say it's your own family stigma because it's like the world stigma. Like if you're a man, you shouldn't be showing emotion, which to a certain degree, I do agree and disagree with that situation because it's like weird. Like I feel like if you're with your family, you know, you're at this stage of your life, maybe like me at 29 years old, and let's just say like you lose a cousin or something, right? And in the room, you got to read the room, right? Like even though I'm saying you should be a little more emotionally vulnerable and be allowed to do that, I feel like a man, when he's in that room, if he's the only guy there, he feels like it's just like a weird genetic thing, like where you have to comfort everybody. Like it feels natural, right? And like you got to show strong face, show strong posture, and you know, as much as you want to cry, you want to be that like cape to everybody. And then like when everyone leaves the room, hey, bro, be a pussy, cry, like let those tears fucking fall down, because that's how I am. I'm just giving an example of how I feel in those scenarios. You know what I mean? But yeah,
like to add to what you're saying is I completely agree with you. A guy has to be the rock. You know, if you're surrounded by a lot of women, let's say, I think that the man, you know, is looked upon, I guess, by just society, that to be that rock, to not show too much emotion and kind of help guide, you know, a difficult situation. Like it's a problem. Everyone goes through, you know, this at some point in their life.
Yeah.
You know, losing someone, it's like, well, what are we gonna do about it? Are we gonna just all, you know, there's nothing wrong with feeling bad and, you know, getting tied up in all of the emotions, but I think it's a much better thing to try to be the Rock if you can. If you could try to be the Rock,
Yeah.
then it kind of helps you. It really helps like solidify like your ability to face catastrophe
I like that.
and be able to like come out of it. Like if that makes sense. Like
No, I think that 100% makes sense due to the fact that I think what you're trying to say, if you're doing it in a healthy way, like you can understand your emotions, right? It shows that you are 100% aware of how you feel and you can control it.
it builds character. That's
Ex-
what it builds your character. Because
Correct.
you can only build character in the moments where your character is tested. And this goes hand in hand with responsibility. A lot of people say, like, let's say they have a lot of responsibility. They're doing too much around the house. They have too much things going on in their life. But at the end of the day, if you are not, like, responsibility goes hand in hand with consequences that you'd face. If you, let's say you have a responsibility for your children,
Yeah.
and you don't take care of them, you don't have responsibility. You're neglecting your responsibility.
Facts.
If you have, financial obligations to your family, your wife or your kids, and you're not providing that, then you have responsibility that you're not fulfilling. It has to go hand in hand. And so a lot of people would be like, I have all this responsibility, but at the end of the day, there's no consequences for them not fulfilling that responsibility. And then what ends up happening? Demise.
No, I 100% agree. That makes complete sense to me. It just branching out from what you said, a lot of people, you can say they're scared too of the consequences. So it's really weird, man. I was in that boat a lot. Like I was always afraid of the what if, but I always got there because I was always doing the opposite of helping myself. You know what I mean? Like making the smart financial choice, making the right choice. Shout out to Andrea. But it's always hard to make the right choice, and you'll know when you're supposed to do something right if it's a hard choice. Good choices, smart choices aren't easy. They're not supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like
Facts.
the bad choices are the easy ones, the ones where you're neglecting your responsibilities.
Yep.
So like
Perfect.
if you know that you're supposed to do something, and you're like, fuck, I gotta do this, I gotta work these extra hours, I gotta take this person from point A to point B, and then you're neglecting that, then you're just a person that is literally going to dig their own hole into a worse life, a worse scenario, worse situation.
You got to be prepared for because life is going to throw you on the ground and it's going to dig you in a deep hole. And you have to always be able to climb out. And you're going to get pushed hard and you're going to get punched in the face, metaphorically and maybe physically.
Yeah, facts.
But depending on what you do. But that's going to happen. That's a guarantee. That's the scary part. It's a guarantee for that to happen. Most people in life go through extreme hardships that we don't even know what it's like until, we live a full lifetime,
Facts.
But, you got to be able to get up. And the way to get up is to work on yourself to be able to, when things like that happen, to have the mindset and the courage to face it. I mean, if you're always, if one small thing happens in your life and you become bedridden, you're not very capable at that point, You can't, how can you do anything if you can't solve small problems? You have to constantly work on yourself. It is a battle. It's very difficult to do this. It takes time.
It takes a lot of time.
It takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of strength and courage, and it builds your character. Like, I'm telling you, I'm not even close to who I was just 5 years ago.
Facts.
Not even, and you know, right? Buka's like 100%.
I do.
Like, it takes time to build that character, but you have to make tough choices. And it kind of segues into one of the topics about choosing good friends.
Yeah.
And like, who do you surround yourself with? You have to, it is very difficult to know if you have good friends unless you step outside of the bias. Like, everyone has a bias. The simple question is, if you have a problem in your life and you tell this person that you have a problem, are they bashing you for it or are they helping you solve the problem? That's like the fundamental thing. If you have friends that are constantly putting you down when you have trouble, then they're only looking, in my experience, they're only looking to kind of like show that, you know, something worse has happened to them, but that's not helpful. You know, let's say, for example, like, you know, God forbid, but someone passes away in my family, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the last thing I want is someone else to tell me about their family death, like, or anything.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? Like, in the context, it matters. Like, totally, you would understand, you know, someone else's death, you know, is a big deal. But like in that context, it's like that's where the friendship comes from. It's friendship is not the day-to-day, you know, bullshit. It's about like in the hard times, are you going to like help? Are you going to be there? Are you going to be that rock? Are you going to also, it goes hand in hand with giving good news. Now, this is another thing, giving good news to friends. If you can't share good news with these friends, are they really your friends? Because like when good things happen to you, are they bringing you down, or they're saying something else better that happened to them? You really got to ask yourself these questions.
Comparing is horrible. You should never compare. Like it brings jealousy. If
Facts.
you tell me something good, I'm not comparing it to me. I'm making it about you.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of good things that you mentioned there. It's not black and white always. You know, friendships are something very rare. Like a lot of people say they have friends, but when you really look at it, like who's there for you? You know, who's like the example you gave, great example, right? Like you shouldn't be telling someone that you lost somebody and then it's like, yo, bro, I understand I lost somebody too, and this is what I did to get better. Like that's not what I want to hear. I want you to be, but every friendship group works differently, right?
Yeah.
You know, you can't, you know, one thing I'm learning too, and you know, I'm not that much older than you, but I always think of myself as an old dude. One wise advice I can give to you, bro, don't always look at it so black and white because uh, within our
Yeah.
group, there's so many personalities. Within those personalities, there's so many traits, so many bonds that you create with a certain person. Like me and Mike and your brother,
Yeah. That friendship.
assholes to each other. Assholes, but it shows love. Like me and Mike's friendship could be a lot different from me and Herbert's friendship. Like you guys see a stupid kid, a kid that just doesn't know when to stop. Like he feels like he's always has to say something dumb to get people's attention because that's how he is. And he might get mad because I'm outing him, but I know who Herbert is trying to be, and he's trying to claw himself to be somebody. But a lot of people like that try to stay like young and kid around a lot and like that.
Mm-hmm.
Those are people also that felt like they were robbed off their childhood or something like that.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh my, yeah.
Felt like they had to grow up a lot faster. And I'm the same way, man. Like with my ex-girlfriend, she saw a big child side from me because I felt like the same way too. Psychologically, I felt like I was asked to go bat at the fucking plate really quickly. Like I felt like my childhood was robbed. But there were, you know,
Yeah.
when you look at things like that, you can't always victimize yourself. You have to look at what cards you were dealt. It's my famous line, bro. What cards are you dealt in life, and how are you going to approach it? And once you approach it, sometimes you realize you've approached it for such a long time in the wrong way. And that's what pisses us off. We rather blame the whole world than take the finger and blame ourselves and be like, I'm here because of my choices, you know?
100. Beautifully said, man.
Thank you. But yeah, or I mean, we haven't even fucking touched anything right now.
Dude,
Like we're just fucking going right at it. But before we continue, holy fuck, we haven't touched anything, bro. Fuck, I thought I copy and pasted this bitch. Hold on. So we're gonna go to the intro questions, which we haven't even fucking answered for season 3, and I love it. That's great. Okay, so the intro questions, right? Tell me something that you've recently learned that has changed your outlook in life. And that doesn't have to be like super recent, but I mean, that has changed your outlook in life.
Wow. Okay. So recently, I learned that it's actually funny. You kind of touched on it. Not everything is black and white. That's hard to understand because I come from a very logical background. My job is in software engineering, and like for us to do our job, we have to understand the root cause of everything. And it's a very clear, predictable path that happens. Not everything in life is like that. And so that's hard. Not everything's black and white. There's definitely different approaches. And Mike, my brother, will 100% vouch for this.
The fake J.
He, like me and him, didn't always have the greatest relationship, but it was my approach to like how we talk and stuff that played a big role actually in, you know, how we had fights and stuff. So I learned over the years, like, you know, it's just about approach. Like I might be right in my goal to what we want to do, let's say, but my approach might be wrong and can't focus on the goal. The ends don't justify the means. That's 100% what I'm trying to say. It really matters like how you get there, because you could end up hurting someone really badly, but you know, oh, the ends justify the means. Well, they're dead. You know, like
That was a little,
like
that was a little crazy, but I know what you mean.
You know, like you've like hurt them so hard that they can't get out. So like, at what point? What does it matter? Like, you know, so to make it more concrete, let's say me and Mike are in an argument about buying something for the house.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna be in a physical fight over it. Really? You know, is that what we want to do? That's what we want to do. Are we gonna hurt each other physically? Are we gonna yell at each other, say horrible things, or are we gonna like, you know, approach it in a different way? You know, we're both adults. You know, it's something I had to learn. Like, it's not easy. You know, there's a lot. I have a lot of shortcomings. I'm all working on that. So,
pause.
That was good.
But no, yo, man, you make complete sense there. Like I was telling you before too. Like there's gonna come situations in your life with your brother, even with someone that's blood relative, where you're gonna be even pushed more against the wall. Pause. Like where you don't know what the result's gonna be, and sometimes, like I said, this is the part where I feel like a lot of my family, a lot of my upbringing wasn't kind of introduced, man. A lot of people, it's very rare to see a lot of people have true control. Like I'm going back to this, but true control of their emotions.
Yeah.
And I'm not that guy. Like I know it sounds like I am on the podcast, but it's something I've been working on so much. And I noticed that I am very good for the most part, but when you're in like when you really know everything about me, like I'm going to use my ex as an example. She would, and it wasn't her, but she would like trigger, because she knew who I was 100%. She knew the vulnerable me. She knew the podcast me. She knew the strong me, put a strong face. She knew I'm crying, like this is a sad moment, this is a tough moment. So she was very easy to get to. It was like a trigger, man. Like when I was upset, I was upset with her, and I was so angry that I was angry. Not even angry at her. I was like, how? I've been called a calm one. I've been called, yo, Puka, you're so mature. You're so controllable. You're such a mature for your age. And then she starts an argument, and it just gets me tight.
Yo.
And then I'm like, fuck. I'm like, how the fuck did I get there? I'm like, why am I in this fucking I'm like, I'm not in she taught me that I need to learn to get into those spaces. And now here's where the fucking battle comes. Like, how do you use everything? Like, you can't just be one of those fucking fake ass podcasters or people that preach all this calmness shit. And you get to this mode, practice now reducing that side of you. Like, knowing how to say, all right, you're at 100, like grab that 100 and bring it right back to like 40. Because unrealistically, bro, you can never get angry and then bring it back to 0. That's impossible. Once you get to 100, it's like learning to what steps, like what are you going to do in those moments to go back to 20%? You know what I mean? Like, and that's what I'm telling you. Like I don't know if you've been there with your brother. I've been there with my brother. That's another person that can get me fucking tight. But
150%.
Yeah, and you know what I mean though? Like, but when it comes now down to having a property, having things, and I've told you this outside of the podcast, there's going to come situations, bro, where you two are really going to be tested, and blood's not going to matter. Like, that's going to be out the window, because one of you are going to get tight. It's gonna get ugly, but that's where you have to learn, and he has to learn. Like, no matter what happens, like, our business stays business, and our personal shit we'll have to always like fucking eat in or learn how to manage. And that's why I love your relationship starting so early with him, because I'm not starting so early, but in this mature phase where you guys are both growing as individuals. No one gets to this stage. I'm not trying to sound cocky, but I don't think a lot of people get to this stage around this age. Like,
you think it's like later in life?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these people that finally learn and fucking get into this weird like holy side of themselves are like later in like their mid 30s, late 30s, which is why you always hear girls go, "Oh, I want to date an older guy because they have shit figured out."
Number one reason.
But I feel like we're like fucking we're getting there, man. Like I'm about to hit 30, but you know we're getting there, and it's helping you, it's helping me, it's helping people around us, and this is where it's our job to pass it down to our other generations too. Like where I feel like this is something that's not taught. Not like the rich definitely know about this shit. Like the rich, like the motherfuckers that just are successful out of nowhere.
Of course, yeah. You have to. You have to learn how to control your emotions. That's the number one thing, especially as a guy. Girls are typically more emotional, so that's okay. That's not a problem. It's just that's biology. But as a guy, you got to be able to control your emotions, especially in hard scenarios. You got to be able to solve problems. You got to, everyone at the end of the day is looking for that. Like we're not looking for softness. We're not looking, this is a good example. Like if I told you about my wallet collection, you might be like, if you're into wallets, you'd be like, oh, that's probably cool.
Bro, I collect Funko Pops. So I'm not gonna judge you over fucking wallets, bro.
No, I don't collect wallets, but this is an example. But like, if I were to collect wallets and I like preach that to like girls, they don't care. They want to know like, what do you do for work? Are you like financially stable? Are you working? Do you have like a good mindset? Are you ambitious? Like all those things are what they're looking for. They don't care about your wallet collection.
Well, I mean, do you blame them though?
I don't. No, it's wonderful. They shouldn't.
But you know what it is? It's also like a rare like men and women are both going on to these future generations, right? Like, and I guess we fall in the category, bro. A lot of it's just like horrible practice. Everyone thinks they can do whatever they want to do, that there is no consequences, and then if they do, like, to give you. I feel like we're just shitting on girls right now, but
No.
you give me like a horrible example of a guy. A guy will also preach what we preach, but they go to another level where they seem egotistical, they seem manipulative. They're definitely like kind of just an asshole, like a cocky fuck that thinks too much. Like I know my boundaries of where I need to go, and what I want to find in a partner, and coming to the reality of it, things have changed, right? You're not gonna find a traditional woman that's willing, not most, at least the majority, that's willing to stay home, be the wife, because, bro, back in the day, a lot of people, men don't even want to admit it, but the wife staying at home, that's the foundation of the family. That's where your family's going.
That's a fact.
How your wife, the way she cleans the house, the way she cooks, the knowledge and mentality that she puts on her kids.
I want to get into that because, oh my God, you just hit the nail. I've talked to girls about this before, about the important role of a lady cleaning the house and doing chores and like that. It's not a bad thing at all. It is fundamental. It is absolutely necessary, and here's why. Where do you spend most of the time in your life? Home. Okay. If your home is chaotic, which it most certainly is, especially if there's guys in it, and this is me shitting on guys, we're chaotic. You're going to have a chaotic life. It all fundamentally comes down to like, is your room organized? I swear, bro, it comes down to like simple crap like that. Like if you came and organized your own room, how is your life going to be any more orderly? Like if you can't even do the thing that you spend the most time in, like you can't clean that. So like that job for a woman is, first of all, beautiful, and it's very important. And it's not like the guy shouldn't clean.
Facts.
That's not what I'm saying. The guy absolutely should keep his things together. But overall, the maintenance of the house, how it looks, its presentation, its overall maintenance, Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we're out here being the breadwinner, like for the most part. We have work and, we are taking care of the house financially. And, it's a team effort. I'm not saying that, we have to provide 1,000% of everything. That's not usually how it goes these days, like a 2-income family these days, and in America at least. But where was I going with this? So it's a team effort. There's nothing wrong with that part of your life. It's actually a very important part, I would argue, that women play in all of this. And it's not something that's It's not like we're not going to follow. We're denying you your dreams or ambitions. You could work, you could do all of that, but there is a primary function. That house needs to be in order,
Correct.
and we all need to contribute to that.
No, that's 100% correct. It's just like I said. Nowadays, it's very hard because things have changed. Life is not as like the cost of life is so expensive. Like even if a guy says he's going to be the breadwinner, you have to be like the boss in your job to support a family, a nice 3 to 4 kid family, and you want to live comfortably because every guy has a dream that if he's going to have a big family, he wants to make sure they're taken well care of. And what's well care of nowadays? How much you have to make? 150,000, 200,000,
In New York,
300,000.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It just keeps going up every year.
So and it is possible for a female to do both, but it's just rare, right? Because you're asking a lot now from that female. Like shout out to your mom, my mom. They were moms that worked and still came home, cooked, did laundry, and those moms are rare to find, bro. Like we're gonna come more into that. Let's just stop because we're going too deep into other shit that we're not even gonna hit the topics of the podcast, bro.
Shout out to mom. We'll talk about you. So.
Next question. We didn't even get to the second intro questions. Holy fuck. Okay. What moment in your life did you realize you became an adult?
Wow. When I got my first career job.
Nice.
Yeah. Because I like 7 times my income at the time. 'Cause I was working at Dollar Tree. I was making like $8K a year, something like that. It was nothing. And then I got my first career job and I was like, oh my God, this is money. This is crazy. I feel like an adult. Like I have to actually be careful how I could spend it all. Also, like that's part of it. Another part is, having to take responsibility in the house. Like when I was 18 years old, I stopped asking my mom for money. I never, ever after that, asked for money. And like, there's been instances I'm like, Mom, can I get some cash? Because I'm too lazy to go to bank. And then I'll give her back.
Yeah.
Or I'll pay for something else. But like, overall, like, I need this to pay bills. Never since I was 18.
Good for
and
you.
that's how I feel. Like, that's when I became an adult. It's like, okay, I'm fully responsible for myself. There's nobody else to rely on. So, yeah, I mean.
I think that's your brother's question. He was the one that picked that.
Shout out to Mikey J.
The fake J. But basically, now let's go back. All right, now we're rolling. I do have a question for you. It has not an intro question, but before we get into the topics of thanks to Chat GPT, scary world, man. We're not even gonna go there because I know that's gonna distract us for the next like 30 minutes, and we're gonna forget to talk about the other shit. I know I wanted to mention AI, but we're not gonna even. Maybe at the end we'll mention it. We'll mention what I was talking about. But so we talk about self-improvement, progression, wanting to get better, wanting to do stuff. But there's people out in the world that don't want to do any of this shit. They're okay where they are. Now, my question to you is, what are your thoughts, and have you met people like this, and is it a bad thing to not want more? Because at the end of the day, really, that should be a good thing, right? Like, being okay on where you are and not desiring more. Do you think that's a good thing?
Ooh, that's a good question.
You told me to throw the hard balls, bro.
Okay.
Pause.
Yeah, that's a metal ball. Okay. So the question is it okay? Is it a good thing if you want to stay where you are?
Do you think it's okay?
So the answer to that is it depends on what you want in life. Do you want to be an average Joe? Shout out to Joe. You're not average, but it's a saying. Do you want to be average Joe? Are you looking for, who are you looking for to marry? What does your life look like? Can an average person manage all of that? Most of the time, unfortunately, the answer is no. You can't be average today. There's so much expectations on guys and girls as well, likely, so that it's very hard to be average. Is it wrong? No, I mean, there's millionaires and there's not millionaires. I mean, the world functions on inequality. I mean, that's a hard one, but that's true. Yeah, so, I mean, is it good? I mean, I wouldn't advise to be average. I would advise to always improve yourself, because knowledge is 100% your power in this world. Money helps, but it is nothing compared to your knowledge. And so my thing for you is to always self-improve, in the fact that you can always do something more. Like if you work like a regular job, minimum wage for the rest of your life, you could do it. You might get by. But one small thing that happens to you, you're fucked.
Give an example.
You lose your job. If you're working minimum wage and you lose your job, which
There's
is
other minimal jobs though. What if he gets another minimal job?
Well, it depends. Is that we're what are we seeing in this world? Like minimum wage jobs.
This guy lives in a studio, works at McDonald's, is happy with his life, not looking to marry, and if he does marry, he's gonna marry his McDonald's coworker. You said he might be inspired to do more, but cost of living as well. We all know that McDonald's goes up with it and always increases by a couple more dollars just to get by. If he gets fired at McDonald's, he can go to Burger King.
He certainly can, but I mean, at some point, when you're working these type of jobs and the income you're making from these jobs, simply switching jobs is actually more difficult than it sounds. Like you might have way more cost associated with that move. And so my point is, minimal things in life, minimal rocks in your way are huge. And so why put yourself in that position?
Huge consequences, you mean? Like if something goes wrong.
Absolutely. Huge consequences.
I like your answer.
Why put yourself in that position?
I like your answer.
Come on. No. Try not to.
I like your answer because, you're speaking your truth, right? I really had to think about this one because I was just like, I was going to give something like an answer like yours because I've been such a person that to lately really, progress, want more, self-improvement books, David Goggins, Joe Rogan. Yeah. Like looking to people for that motivation, that fucking testosterone fucking running through your fucking blood. You're looking for those macho answers, right? Because most men love that shit. There's a fucking adrenaline rush hearing. You know why most men love motivational videos? Why most men like seeing people get better? Because they can picture a time they were down. You know what I mean?
Yo.
They fucking love that shit, bro. It's something that inspires us. But what I'm saying with the average Joe is not an average Joe, but someone that's content in life. Is like a Buddha, someone in like, how do you tell those people their life's not going to change? They just literally don't change. But I understand what you're saying.
I could go into that. If you're like in that position, like a Buddha, you're, completely happy where you are. If you're happy, I mean, why change anything? But most people are not happy in those positions. That's the truth. There's very rare like people that are gonna, work a minimum wage job and not hate it. I mean, that's just the reality. Minimum wage jobs are designed not to be very fruitful to society. I mean, they're okay. Fruitful in comparison to your dreams. Like most people have bigger dreams than working at McDonald's. That's the truth. Right?
People, I get what you're saying. Deep down, there's always some truth to not wanting to be in that position.
Yeah.
Which I agree with you. It's always going to be a mixed answer with that question. That's why I threw it in there. I want to make sure get everyone's point of view on that. But let's officially start the podcast. Let's start the chat GPT questions. Let's get into the point why we're here today. Because we are getting food right after this because I'm starving OD. But let's go with question number one. I literally copied and pasted almost everything. What initially sparked your interest in self-development? You want to start?
Yeah, let's start. Being last to do anything, not being able to do most things in life. I talked about this in the first podcast, but just to recap a little bit, I had to say no to a lot of basic crap. Going to a movie is $20. That was a lot of money to me back then, so got to say no. And it's small things like that I always had to say no. Always seeing things, around me, like basic needs being met. And for me, it was much harder for those things to be met. I always wanted more, and I was always ambitious as a kid. I have photos of my first computer and me like playing some games. But when I first got a computer, I was always like, how do I make things move? And so I always thought like I could do this in the future and make a lot of money, hopefully, and get out of the situation I'm in. And so self-development was required because I was aiming down in life. I was not aiming up. Aiming down meaning every year I would either get heavier in my weight, my health would decline. I'm not getting any smarter.
This is high school you?
Yeah, this is high school me. Middle school, high school. You know, I'm not improving. I think 10th grade and past, I was getting a lot better. And that's, those are some interesting times in my life. But hardship, the losing someone very close to you absolutely played a huge role in that, because the biggest motivation for me to get over my father passing away was to improve myself. There's nothing better to do than to think of the thought of your loved one looking back down at you and saying, I'm proud of my son. That is enough motivation for anyone, I think. But you have to be able to look at yourself and be like, you know what? I'm a piece of shit here. I got to improve, you know? You got to be able to take the ego out of it. You got to be able to say that you're wrong in most things and that you want to improve. That's another thing. Most people say they want to improve. They don't want to improve because they don't want to do anything that makes them uncomfortable. You got to be uncomfortable. Life is totally uncomfortable. So if you're sitting here complaining about, you know, that you can't, let's say if you have a financial goal and you can't spend money for a year or go on any vacations, then you don't know what life is. Like, you got to, 1 year is nothing. You know, if you're trying to plan for your future, 1 year is nothing, especially now. So you gotta be careful. You gotta make right decisions, and you gotta be willing to put in the blood, sweat, and tears.
Bro, that's good. I might fucking might write a book on that. But I think you said something really fucking funny. It made me laugh because I was just like, yeah, I feel like a lot of people just need to hear that. It's so simple, so fucking simple. Like the part where you said, you have to learn to be uncomfortable. Nah, fuck it.
Yeah.
Life's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But you know what's so funny? That's everyone's problem.
Yeah. It's the root cause.
They are so used to feeling uncomfortable that it gets comfortable. So they think improving is going to be uncomfortable. Like, I know that's like a tongue twister, but like, if you really understand, like, I told you, man, I have told you, you have no idea the variables that the reason I asked you how old you were is because I just told you before we started this podcast, bro. I am definitely not the person I once was, right? Yeah. Middle school, high school me. But to give you an image of what I was in high school, I entered the 9th grade, me and my friends, and luckily I had the Spanish guys, right? Me, Franklin, Fonzo, my friend Eric Interbeza, Jose, my friend Jose has blossomed into a fucking muscular butterfly, bro. He's fucking jacked. Can get any bitch he wants probably any day he wants. But if you saw Jose in 8th grade, you'd be like, what the fuck is that? That kid looks like a fucking goth kid. But like, the reason I'm saying that is because those are the only people that were in my circle at that time. And I remember we were all talking and they were like, yo, Puga, honestly, bro, like we're entering high school. We're excited. Like, when do you think you get your first kiss? Like, when do you think you're going to lose your virginity? Like, these are conversations young kids had, right?
Facts.
I was so low in self-esteem, so doubtful that anyone would ever look my way. I was never thought in a million years at that time that I would ever even speak to a girl anytime soon, that I said to them, I probably won't get laid or get a first kiss until my first year of college or maybe a senior year. And I really believe that, bro. I really honestly, truly believe that I just thought I was that ugly. I thought I was that hideous inside. And that's like the worst part about kids that have like low self-esteem is that they think it's never going to change. It's like the hardest thing to like make a kid believe like things get better. And that's why they say the older people are wiser. It's just because you've been through more, you've seen more, you've gotten out of those little bubbles that you were putting yourself in. And like everything changed for me, bro. And even when the first girl did talk to me in 9th grade, which I was baffled by, like I'll never forget her because I thank her so much because that was the first step into confidence.
Great.
Bro, girl was kissing me. Girl was touching my little wee-wee at the time. And even when those things were happening, I didn't think that there was anything special about me still. I was like, oh, this girl must be fucking blind seeing this ugly kid and still kissing him, right? And then it took her to finally leave me to go into the one of the, in my time, worst depressions ever. And thinking that I was never going to get past it, right? And you start learning these small variables about yourself. And when you look back, you're like, fuck, these are things that help me overcome certain situations and get better. Like it really took this other girl to come into my life and put my hands on her fucking breast for me to feel like finally, this was my first ever like breakout moment. Like she did it in public, which I was so embarrassed, but it made me fucking say, wow, like, wow,
I did this.
no, like, no, I was so embarrassed, bro. I'm so dark. So when I'm telling you, I turned red. I was mad at her. I'm like, what are you fucking doing? Like, this is so embarrassing.
You felt uncomfortable.
Yeah. She was like, Puka, you're touching my boob and you're fucking, and she's like, and I'm like, don't you care what people think? And she gave me the greatest advice ever. I don't give two fucks. Like what anyone thinks. And you shouldn't either. You should be happy that you even got to touch a boob. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, yo, this bitch is right. Like, yo, this bitch is right. You know what I mean? But these were small little things that I never knew were going to do such a huge thing for me. It built up my confidence. It built up my self-esteem. And obviously it took a lot more than just fucking feeling a pair of boobies to, but these were small steps and small increments to making me feel like, yo, I'm not ugly. I am not a horrible human being. I have a beautiful inner me. Like these beautiful women are talking to me. I made friends in West Hempstead. I met your brother. I fucking hated your brother. Yeah. But I made friends. People were actually interested in talking to me, and that's when I started realizing, like, yo, there's more to life than what you think there is. And even if you get stuck in the mud, you just need somebody to fucking help you pull a rope, a helpline, and you'll get out of it eventually. You just need to understand that, and that's like something that helped me realize, like, yo, there's just so much more to life.
Yeah.
And I told my nieces that, like, you don't understand how much more there is out there. And even if you hate the place you're in, bro, you move.
Yeah.
You start something new. You start fresh. You know, you can erase what was in the past. You know what I mean? But there's obviously more stuff to that. But let me answer the question, because I didn't even fucking answer the question. Bro, the question was, when initially sparked your interest in self-development? I'm going to give a couple of things, because I really felt like this sparked my interest in self-development. But, bro, what helped me, too, being a kid of an immigrant fucking parents, right?
Beautiful.
You're part of that, too. Like, what helped me so much, bro? I don't know if did you see my niece's podcast episode? I don't know if you did.
I did.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So there was a speech that I talk about that I gave them, and it changed their outlook to life. But they don't realize that speech came from someone. It came from my mother. Like, even though I consider my dad my hero, my mother is obviously right next to him. But the reason I consider him my hero is because I can't fathom growing up in a country, not know a dick of Spanish, farm, he literally talked Quechua, fucking an Incan language, was forced to go to school, go and learn Spanish, dropped out in 5th grade, moved to the capital of Lima, built himself as a teenager, buy his house, build his home with his own hands, with my uncles, with help, do well successfully, meet my mom, get married, was doing so well in the selling of, he would resell clothes, but that was like a big thing back in Peru, and he was successful at it. We made money, they made their payments on time. My dad had a motorcycle. Dude. But took all that and said, fuck it, I'm still going to America. And my mom was like, why? He's like, I have envisioned something better for my kids. And you know what I mean? Like, those are the things that, and my mom obviously played her role, right? She's like, you know what? You're going to go, I'm going to play mom. I'm going to fucking hold this house down.
Beautiful.
You know what I mean? So, like, it was like, that sparked my constant reminder. Do you know what like, some kids call it nagging, but my dad was able to speak to me in a way, not to nag me, but to tell me, like, hey, I want you to know where you came from. And this is our journey. This is what I had to do to get here. And I always thought this motherfucker, like in the beginning, I was like, oh my God, here we go again. I get it. You didn't know the language. Like, get over it. Like, you know what I mean? But it took me to finally become to an adulting age to realize, like, yo, this motherfucker didn't even know the language and had to learn 3 to get here. Do you know what I mean?
Bro, can I just say, like, the fact that we even complain about anything today is a disservice to anyone who came before us. Bro, that is an insane story. And if I grew up that way, that would be enough for me to be like, you know what? I'm going to fix everything. Because, like, bro, that's insane. He like built his you said he built his house,
the first and like half of the second floor. Then he hired a contractor after that.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. And then facing, not knowing the language, how hard that is.
Facts,
bro. That is insane. And we complain about like not getting enough likes on an Instagram picture, bro. Yo, it's crazy out here.
Times have changed a lot. But we have to come to a realization with it, like that's a lot. You know what? Let's fucking talk a little bit about it. The introduction of the internet, the introduction of all this shit is also what you're saying, bro. It changed life. It changed the way we view things. It changed the way we communicate. I can talk right here to my cousin in Peru that's miles away.
Insane.
You know what I mean? Like, but that's like also the risk, right? Like what comes with the internet? Likes, posts, comments, always trying to see what the other person's doing around the world, what places you go to. Because back in the day, people used to just, go and enjoy another country, but they still took pictures. They just never got posted. It was only for those around you to see.
Those for the family gram.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like weird. So like times have changed and we changed with it, and sometimes not for the better. That's why I always tell you, man, like, I don't know, man. I know you support and love technology, but like at what cost? Like what route are we going to? I'm not trying to say I'm anti because I fucking do a podcast. Like, of course I love technology, right? I fucking love cars. I love my cell phone's a fucking Samsung Galaxy. Like, of course I love the technology and I'm reaping the benefits of it.
But at what cost?
Like, what harm is it doing? Like I was talking about in the previous episode that I just did. Like my attention span, I'm losing it. I realize it. I used to love watching 2 to 3 hour movies. Now I can't.
Yeah,
it hurts.
Right. There's a huge problem. What's the number one app causing that?
Instagram, TikTok. The Reels. But like, it's crazy, right? Like, but this is like where we have to take control and be like, how do we not get to that level? How do we? Go ahead.
Tangible advice.
Yes.
I learned this recently. I would talk to someone. You can change your settings so that you get no notifications when someone, messages you or anything. So it's like whenever you go on the app, now you can answer everything. So it's not like you're always bombarded throughout the day to open up the app. That's the problem. Once you open up the app, you're fucked. Dude, as soon as you open the app, giant reel of some guy jumping off a cliff, that, bro, those ones are like, you're like, why can't I do that? No, like 5% of humanity has ever done that, maybe. Like,
that's still a big percentage.
Even if it's that. Right? Even, but it's like all these things, like it's small, it's like huge dopamine rushes. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you got to be able to control.
Drug.
It is a drug. 100%.
Let me ask you a question actually with that. Yeah. What do you think the number one key thing to doing that is, though? Like what you just said, turning off notifications. What is that word called that a lot of people don't have nowadays? The average Joe doesn't have.
Is it drive, I guess, or like,
that got me. I thought you said the word. Well, drive is definitely part of it. I think it's discipline, right? Like
discipline. That's it. It's a D word. Yeah.
A lot of people don't have discipline, and including myself, man. It's very hard. Yep. It's very hard to just turn off that app, man. Like you see Herbert. I'm gonna use Herbert again, bro. Bro has 2 phones and he could be scrolling on nothing, but it's just that rush, that beep beep beep, like notification, like, oh fuck yes, like some bitch is hitting me up. You know what I mean? That's how he is, and I understand it. I understand the rush, but I know I'm learning to get better at the discipline. It's very hard. Like I told you with the AI thing, even ChatGPT, bro. You're telling me it's a good like technology implementing it to the resource of our future, But I'm just thinking to you, bro. If something has all the answers, and it gets to a point where it creates, like you're telling me, it can't create its own mind, but
No.
you're also a person that doesn't know what its limits are.
100%.
You know? I don't know, man. I don't know. I just think like, what if? And you know what? I can even answer this. No fucking little computer has to tell you this. What is destroying our world? It's us. What are we about to get into? Another war? Like rest. Yeah. And this is the only thing I'll say because we're not gonna bring any politics to this. But rest. I really hope for all the lives being lost, man. I hope they're going to heaven and all that. Like that's all I'm gonna say for now. But because I don't want to sound ignorant. I don't know anything about the history. I would be an asshole coming in here and telling you what's right from wrong. You know what I mean? Like that's my opinion on it. But what I will say is just like you ask this thing, like eventually it's gonna know like what is harming this world, and ChatGPT is gonna tell you humans, horrible people in power that are corrupt. If it's so easy to bend over for a fucking dollar, most fucking people are doing it.
I'll tell you, the root of all of that is if you're unhappy with yourself. If you're unhappy with yourself, there's no way you're going to speak good about anybody. You're not going to treat people with kindness, respect. You might think you do, but you might two-face that person as soon as you meet someone else that fulfills that. You need to constantly look to being available and supportive and like building a network of people that helps you be better.
People you want to create it with, right?
Absolutely. Like a lot of people have like a vision. I might be one of these people where you have a group of friends and that you build together in the future. You make like a network, like an alliance, a clan, whatever you want to call it, right? Mm-hmm. Like of people that just support each other. You know what? You know what function that serves in today's society? Starts with a C. Church.
Yeah.
Church functionally serves that. Most people are like, oh, I'm not religious. Okay, well, what other function does church serve? Well, it serves the part where you see your community on a regular basis.
Know your neighbor.
Your neighbor as well. Absolutely. And you know what that is? That keeps you humble. It keeps you accountable. And it keeps you like talking to people and not, you know, everyone knows this in New York. No one says hi to each other. Neighbors don't say hi. You know, like it's pretty disrespectful out here. So try to do something a little different.
It's pretty disrespectful everywhere, honestly. I've been to other places, man. I'm telling you, not so pretty on the other side. It's really not that much different from New York. Sure, maybe you go to a touristy area, but guess what? They're not saying hi because they want to talk to you. They're saying hi because they want your money, cuz.
Bro, I went to North Dakota recently. North Dakota.
Damn.
My friend had a wedding, a beautiful wedding. People there, very, very kind, man. Very different from New York, honestly.
Like, you were in the city area?
I was in a small town.
Yeah,
and it's mostly small town.
That's know your neighbor, bro. You're a stranger to them, but they got to be nice. You know what? You mentioned something very smart. Churches bring communities together, which, you know, they preach like know your neighbor. And I feel like there's a good underlining to that. Know your neighbor, because even if you don't like them, you know them. It's like, I know that motherfucker. There's a reason I don't like him, but I'm going to treat him with respect and kindness at afar. You know, like I'll never get too close because I know that motherfucker already.
Oh my God. You said 100%. You don't have to like him, but at least you have some sort of respect because you live in the same neighborhood. You at least share some values. You're in the same church, for crying out loud. Like, at least there's some respect there.
Correct.
So, hey, we got a lot of topics, huh?
Yeah, bro. We
are on fire. This is fun.
Let's go to the second one, because the second one, definitely a good question. Do you have any, well, you were mentioning some of this, so you can continue on this. Do you have any favorite tools or methodologies that have substantially improved your productivity?
Ooh, okay. I didn't really think about this. Let me think. Biggest tool is using a calendar. Okay, it sounds crazy.
I love it. I love it.
This is the thing. A lot of people say, yeah, I use a calendar, but they don't use it. Come on, they don't use it. They don't use it like where it's like every day you look at it and like you see like your day. You got to be able to, this is another thing I learned. When it comes to committing to events, check your calendar, make sure you don't got anything else going on there. I used to be so bad with this. I would promise to go to like 3 things, and it's all on the same day, same time, and it's like, oh man, I feel so bad. Best thing to use is a calendar. Create reminders for things that you want to do, but don't get to it. Like, let's say you think about it at 10 p.m. And there's like a house chore outside. You're not going to go outside and like cut wood or something. But, put it in your reminders, create a plan. 100%. Is it tedious? It is. But what about life is not tedious? Like, come on. Like, do you want everyone, like, if anyone has an excuse to not use a calendar, I want to hear your proposition to do something that's better. Like, if you have like a mental memory and can memorize everything, you don't need a calendar. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the guy that can't follow, structure in their life.
There's too much. Sometimes it's good because there's too much.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, if you are having difficulty, creating and maintaining your lifestyle, let's say, going to events, doing things on time, working outside of work on yourself, your skills, if you don't plan for it, how the hell are you going to do it? Like, this is another thing. Like, oh, I'm working on an app. Like, I try not to tell people this because, like, I'm mentioning it on a podcast, but just for the point, like, the reason I don't talk a lot about it is because I have to put in the blood, sweat, and tears for this to work. And, like, there's so much underlying things. And it's like, I am not the person to talk about things until I've got something done. And so, like, when it comes to doing things, I have to actually physically block out time on my calendar. Otherwise, there's 1,000 things that will take my time. Having, Puka, you know this so well. Like, when you have your own space, you're taking care of your family.
Yeah.
1,000 things in the day come up, bro. Just with that. Forget so work. Forget side hobbies. 1,000 things come up.
Facts.
And, if you're not, like, dedicating your time to something, one thing, because you can only do one thing at a time most of the time.
Most of the time, yeah, I was going to say. Please say that.
Yeah.
That goes to my post today that I put too. Like, a lot of people
can't multitask.
Yeah. It's true, right? Like, as much as I hate to say it, multitasking also takes away from everything being at 110%, right? Like, it's not easy. Like, if you're multitasking, now something's getting 90 and the other thing is getting like 85. You know what I mean? So it's hard. Is it possible? Yeah, but like, what are you multitasking? Do you mind not multitasking it? Like, I'm that person. I don't mind multitasking certain things, but if it's something I'm really passionate about, very 100% about, you're right. I try to focus only on that.
Yeah, like something like working on an app, I would say you would probably want to focus 100% on that. But we talked about self-development. Here's a tangible thing you could do. People, reading a book is like, people don't do it. Not a lot of people do it. A lot of girls do. I've noticed. A lot of girls still read books today. Shout out to all the ladies that read books. Keep doing it. It's a wonderful thing. I have not met a lot of guys that read books unless they're in school. Straight up. Right? So this is the thing. I'm trying to read. I can't sit because my attention span is fucked up like everyone else. What I do is I listen to audiobooks now. I finally said, you know what? I'm going to pay $30 a month for Audible, and I'm going to listen to audiobooks when I'm driving. I might go to Jersey one day. I might go to Brooklyn for work. I might go to, I just go out. Let's say I live kind of far from everyone.
How do you like it so far? The Audible thing. I was going to try it out. It's good?
I have to recommend it, man. I have to. I would be a disservice to not recommend it. We're not sponsored. I wish I was, but use a future code. But I would. If you are someone who can't pick up a book and physically sit there and read it and not lose your attention span, like me, listen to a book, and that is something you can do. Multitask. It's one of the things I could do. I focus on it. Instead of, going to the gym and listening to music all the time, the same playlist, maybe put on an audiobook.
Yeah, I do that. Well, not the audiobook. I do podcasts, but it's almost like a substitute to audiobook.
Absolutely. I learn a lot from podcasts. Like, YouTube is a great form of, research if you know how to use it. You can't look at one YouTube video on one perspective politically or just a stance on something and expect it to be right. You have to take multiple sources in. And YouTube is a great way, very easy to get multiple opinions about things, right?
That's very true.
All right.
Same question to me. Do you have any favorite tools or methodologies that have substantially improved your productivity? I'm gonna agree with him. I put down Planner. Planner
Ooh.
on mine. I don't have a Well, I have calendars. I have a calendar. I have a planner. Planner is my go-to for my bills. Like those are the most important things that I look at. My bills are written down all over my fucking planner.
That's the one thing I want to talk to you about. You physically write down things. So I put it in my phone.
Yeah, I physically write it down.
You physically. So let's talk about that. Like how much different is that than like typing on a phone or computer?
It's so weird, man. The majority of my time that I've worked in this Home Depot life, right? I've met a lot of older people, right? And this is just a habit I've developed, right? And I see a lot of these older people using a planner. So I really don't think it's really about preference. It's kind of what was just introduced to me at first, and I just stuck with it.
Okay.
So planners were something they pushed a lot, and I used it, and I liked it. And it's not that I don't use my phone calendar. I do. Honestly, I could show you it. I'm starting to use it a little bit more. It's just that I don't. This is so stupid. I just don't like the fact that I can't see the whole Like I see the calendar, but I don't see everything that I wrote down. Like I see like if it has to be mushed in, it's mushed in, and I don't like that. That's so OCD weird.
It's a beautiful thing that you brought that up because that was actually one of the things I didn't like about it. But there, one thing that I used was a widget. It kind of like expands a little bit, so that helps. It's not gonna fix that OCD. I promise you that because I still have a little OCD. So that's what we're seeing. Oh, yeah. I totally agree with you.
Yeah,
it's very difficult.
It's annoying, but planners definitely help. They're very productive in getting your day planned. I explained it to my friend Jimmy once. When I know there's a bill coming and I'm short of earnings, I go DoorDash the shit out of it because it pushes me to know there's a bill coming. Who's gonna give me the money? No one. Okay, I gotta go work. So that's how I used to do it. That's the whole reason I put my bills there. So it's kind of a reminder, a motivational thing. But to give you more tools that I've personally used myself, we've talked about podcasts, self-improvement books. I'm going to try the audio books because it is sometimes a struggle for me to pick up a book. Yeah. Like I have the same David Goggins book in my backpack on chapter 4 that I have not progressed from. And sometimes I'm in the mood of reading, bro. Sometimes I can read like nonstop, and I'm like, yo, I should just keep going because I know I'm not going to pick this book up again for another month.
That's a fact.
Yeah, so that's like true. The bad habit I'm trying to break. Sometimes the book's so good, I go to chapter 8, and then I'm just like, fuck, I'm tired. Let me just go to sleep. But something that's also helped me so much, which is ironic to people, music. I reflect to music so... Someone asked me in the beginning, like, David, who gave you all this advice? And obviously there's my parents, there's my brothers, and my friends, there's myself. But when I really come down to it, there's a big thanks to music, man. Shout out to fucking Kanye West. Shout out to Drake. Shout out to J. Cole. Shout out to Frank Sinatra. Shout out to...
legends.
Yeah, the music industry has been... before the podcast, has been an inner therapy for me, man. Like, you have no idea how much times I've cried like a pussy in my car thanks to the right song, bro. But sometimes you need a good cry out. You need a good fucking... amp music. You need something that'll make you
gets you emotional.
Yeah, gets your fucking feelings going, bro. Like, and Drake is definitely a soft ass motherfucker with the music, but he puts you in your feels, bro. Like a lot of, and it's not just me because you see memes of it. So music hits all of us in a different way, right? So that is something that I definitely recommend. If you're not someone that likes music, go to the books. You're not like someone that likes books. There's art. There's other ways that you can express yourself and find ways to use it as an instrument to help your self-improvement, right?
Beautiful.
So there's so many things out there, and don't be afraid to try something new. The worst case scenario, you just stop doing it, and you just move on to the next thing.
Beautiful, right? It's like if something doesn't work, don't give up. Try something different to achieve the same goal. Don't just if the calendar doesn't work, write it down. If that doesn't work, try something else because you still have a problem that you need to solve.
Digitalize it. You don't like digitalizing, write it down. Yeah, facts.
Exactly.
Number 3, and give a little quick scenario on this one because we got other good questions coming up. How do you maintain a work-life balance while striving for career growth? Well, you kind of mentioned it already. Like you have like blocks in your day, your hours, but continue.
Yeah, that's a good question because if you're striving to personally for me, I am striving to move up the chain, and I have been. And for the most part, I see myself spending more time on my career, not having as much free time. But here's the difference. Recently, I made a job switch. I was able to work with someone I previously worked with at my first company.
Oh, nice.
And it's the culture, you could tell it's completely different, and it's enabling me to spend more time not thinking about work at 12 a.m. You know, I used to run and work with 30 developers and kind of oversee them. They're all contractors, so I was only full-time on the team. And so I had to unfortunately, the company wanted me to kind of babysit a little bit, and that's just comes with the job and the project. But I did not have a balance at all. And so moving jobs, even though if you get a promotion or not, doesn't necessarily mean you will get more work to do. Always, it depends on what you want. For me, I personally want to move up and make, a name for myself. I want to move up and just, because personally in software engineering, I am a huge fanatic for it. I love it. I study it even to this day outside of work because I just love it. Now, to maintain that balance, you need to be able to say, you have to have a strict, code when you sign off from work.
Yeah.
I work from remote. So here's the thing about remote most people don't know. You're on your laptop, right? You are constantly signed on. And so you also have your phone usually, Microsoft Teams or Slack or whatever you use. And so you'll always get a message because time zones, when you work remote, there's time zones all over the world. You'll get messages throughout the day, and you have to be able to be like, that's a tomorrow thing. It's not high priority right now. Don't answer right now. And so you have to be able to, create boundaries. That's a very important thing to learn, and it's very difficult to do because you're going to have to, assert yourself a certain way to your boss, and you're going to have to kind of make a case where, you are not going to be available at certain times. And hey, it comes with the job. Like I made that clear in the interview. I didn't make it clear on day one. I made it clear before I got the job. Like I'm very, I need work-life balance. Like it's very important to me. I'm not productive if I'm, tired at work, so let's, keep it 1,000 here. Like I'm not going to work at 12 a.m. unless, there's something. But, in this new job, there's a requirement to work after, certain hours, but it's during a storm. So it's understandable. It's not like an everyday thing. Yeah. And my other job, every day, bro, they don't care. So the tangible advice is to...
The other job is Home Depot, by the way.
So you got to create a boundary for yourself. And at the end of the day, you are responsible for your own work-life balance. If you are the person that's always answering messages, always going the extra mile and not getting recognized, that is your fault. That is not the company's fault. That is your fault. You're too soft. You got to get up. Shit. Yeah. Look, I'm going to tell it like it is. You're too soft. You have to be able to negotiate, with yourself. Do you respect yourself? Are you going to work and bend, are you going to bend over for everyone that doesn't respect you? You got to put a boundary. It's very important. I don't say that easily. It's very difficult to develop the skills to do that. But you got to start somewhere. Like, what's your excuse? After 10 years, you're not going to do anything about it? Or are you going to take some steps today to try to get there at some point? Like, I didn't get there overnight. It took 4 years.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%.
Like, when I first got my job, bro, anything they said, I was just like, absolutely, I'll do 100%. I'll work extra. Yeah. I was that guy. Now I'm just like, you know what? I might do it.
Good for you, man. Yeah. Good for you. You a boss-ass bitch. You're a boss-ass bitch. But like I said, that's definitely great for you in the point where you've gotten to that point. A lot of people are striving for that, man. They're still in the journey, and everyone's like job positions and the way everything works is a lot different from yours. Yeah. So it's not as easy. But you said it's not as easy as you just said. But you have to definitely stand up for yourself. So I like what you said there. That's very good. The question was, how do you maintain a work-life balance while striving for career growth? Honestly, I'm very simple and old school with this, bro. Um, this is gonna sound like a boring answer, but yo, just keep the grind going. You want to do
Yeah.
good in your job,
Yeah.
work the hours. I'm like the opposite of him.
Yeah.
Work the hours, do your time, and know what you want. Right, like I said, like we come from two different fucking job categories. Like in my stupid job, bro. Like as much as I don't want to shit on it,
Yeah.
there's not. There is room to grow,
Yeah.
but you got to do your time.
Mhm.
Like it's weird, and you got to be good. You got to be decent at it. Like I used to think you had to be good at it, and that's honestly, sadly, not the truth. You don't have to be good at it. You just have to do your time and be better than the next person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's very important.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean good though, which is so fucked up. Sometimes it's like it's timing. It's sometimes luck. It's just where the company's going at the time, and the
Yeah.
company never gives a shit about you. They just need someone to fill in the position.
Yeah.
And what I'm basically saying is like, work hard. Once the closing time happens, and in my scenario, I leave all that bullshit within those doors.
Yes. Good.
And then I move on and do what I want to do, right? And lately, my day's been work, gym, Xbox, Netflix, go to sleep. And I'm content with that. I'm happy with that because I'm in a position of management. I know the next steps for me. And when I open those doors again, I'm hard mode. Pause. I'm like fucking grinding. I'm working. I'm putting my head up. I'm trying to learn more, trying to progress, trying to handle my responsibilities and more, and show my, and some people say, oh, but that doesn't always pay off. But, like that's just my method while I go in. And it's working for me. It's been working for me. Why change it now? You
But
know
look,
what I mean?
you're also doing the podcast,
A-
so it's not you're not working.
Exactly. And knowing where to come to peace with your hobbies, right? Like this podcast for me, like, dude, look, Little Jay said it best, man. Like, you really want this? He's like, I think there's so much potential for you, and you're the only one stopping yourself. So I said to
Yeah.
myself, like, fuck. All right.
You are your biggest enemy. Period.
Correct. And now I'm trying to be consistent. Everything that I do when it comes to the pod, I've invested in mics, I've invested in audio equipment, I've invested in lights. I've taken the advice, the feedback from Anthony. I've actually implemented it. And I'm just to say, yeah, bro, yeah, like whatever. Like I've done the stuff that he's told me. I've done the stuff that other people have told me. I've looked nothing but improving. And like, bro, this week, right? This week, Anthony. Next week, George. The week after that is, I'll tell you right now. The week after that is George. The week after that, I have 2 podcast recordings on November 11th. One to release the week after, the week after that. Then I have Mike J and his girl, where he's going to get exposed, opposed to Alex. Shout out, Alex. Please expose him. The week after that, I already know I'm having the Filipinos, Carl and Kyle.
Ooh.
So, like, I'm 100% in it, man. I'm in it. I'm committed. I'm going to make it happen.
And every podcast, what are you doing?
Every podcast, I'm fucking jerking off. No, every podcast, I'm learning something new. I'm trying
There
to
you go.
incorporate something to improve the... And I really won't have a set thing until probably, like, season 5.
Hey.
And that's okay, because every day is something new. And I like these little small experiences because... Like, you guys don't see this. Like, I got out of work at 6:30. I came here straight to... But, like, these are the small strides I'm looking to do, and it's my time. I'm making sure that I get the most out of it, making sure that it helps improve the podcast, helps improve, and it's nothing but great things, man. It does not... I have learned so much shit on this podcast that it's becoming awesome. Did something die?
No.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
And, but yeah, like I said, it's just really just about the grind, making sure you do, and making sure you know where you're going, right? Like, that's the most important thing. Like, if you're just working hard with no goal in mind, then you're just working hard.
Facts. To add on to what you were saying before about working hard, if you are aspiring to progress in your career, you have to put in the blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
To only get to a point where you work a little bit less but work smarter. That's kind of where I was going. I
Boss
work
ass
less
bitch.
hard. Yeah, you work less hard physically. you work smarter with how you manage your time. Like I block out calendars when I meet with other developers. I block out all this time. I know my schedule a week in advance because I block it out that way.
Good.
So I know what I'm doing, and I'm very on top of everything. As soon as something comes in, I've already planned 2 steps ahead. And so my project actually starts November 1st. I'm already learning as much as I can about it so that when it starts, I actually have some experience with that.
Yeah. That's a boss ass bitch mentality, bro.
You got it. If you want to get to the point where you want to better yourself and your environment, you have to. There's no easy solution. Anybody that tells you you're gonna make $1,000 a month sitting on your ass, you're not. Okay, you're not. That's the truth. All right.
Success, I've always said, and I don't know where podcast I got this from. Success is never easy. The grind is never easy. And the reasons for that is because there wouldn't be success without pain. Like you have to know how to endure the pain, and that's why a lot of people say like, yo, like when you I don't know, like I said, you don't watch that much sports. And this is my answer for like you. You say, yo, Puka, why do you like basketball? Why do you like these sports so much? And bro, that's my dopamine.
Yeah.
Like let's say I'm gonna use UFC as an example, right? Why do I watch the UFC? You people would think, oh, you watch it because of the big names, and that's true. But I got to see Conor McGregor be somebody just making his name for himself I'm pretty sure he's a fucking millionaire.
Yeah,
he is today. And bro, when you see his interviews, when you see his the talks he gives to people, you get, what do they always say? A successful fighter always says, what do you enjoy the most of where you are now? And they always look back and say, yo, a lot of people don't say it, but it's the journey, man. Like I can't believe and it gives me goosebumps, bro, because it just makes me like, Conor came from nothing, bro.
Yeah.
His wife worked 2-3 jobs so he can support his dream. And that's why she's still with him today. She gives her the world because he was basically taken care of. They still had barely food to eat, but he had a dream. He had an ambition. He sold it to her, and she said, you know what? I'm going to take it, and I'm going to make your dreams come true. Conor would not be Conor McGregor if it wasn't for his fucking wife, bro.
That's beautiful.
Right?
See, it's a partnership.
Yeah.
Both roles are necessary, man.
Yeah, bro. She busted her ass just so he can go work out and practice this fighting thing for 7 hours. Imagine coming home and hearing, well, what'd you do today? Oh, I rolled with the guys. I just punched a bunch of times. Well, how was your day? I worked my first job, got out of that, go second job, and then I got out of there, third job, and now I'm here cooking for you. Like, that is so beautiful, and, like, it doesn't always work that way, right?
No,
Those are very rare chances, but those moments, that's why I love sports, bro, because you know there's a backstory to it. You know there's a journey to it, and you see these successful athletes, some do come from money, but some don't, and the ones that don't is what fucking makes my fucking dick hard, bro. It's just like, fuck, like, I know that it was possible. Like, that journey talk is always a fucking dopamine rush for me.
And they literally, that's the thing with Conor McGregor, for example, literally fought physically to get higher status.
Bro.
Like, it's incredible.
I'm going to show you a clip out this podcast, bro, how he manifested his championship title on what the guy was going. He did what you did. He planned 3 steps ahead. He watched so many of his fights and knew that he would reach with his left, giving him exposure. And Conor practiced this ghost move, ghost boxing. Yeah. He would practice that he would reach in for the punch, and then Conor would just hit him right in the chin to knock him out. And what happens within less than a minute of the fight? That guy reaches with the punch, and Conor hits him right in the jaw, exactly how he practiced, exactly to the fucking dot.
It's beautiful.
Yo, bro, he manifested that shit. He fucking did it, bro. And when he did that shit, my shit was this hard, bro. I was like, fuck, bro. Like, this motherfucker just proved to the world that he's him. He's Timothy, motherfucker. He's that guy. So that's why I love sports, bro. The journey talk is always
real.
Yeah.
It's real.
There's living proof. Like, this guy's living proof that it's possible. And that's what motivates me, bro. That's what fucking makes me want to be like, yo, I need to. We're living in our journey. It's just like, when are we going to hit that moment?
Yeah, I mean, if you even think about it, he had to fight physically. He had to fight physically to get there. Most of us don't. You just got to do a little bit better at your job.
Yeah.
If you got a new responsibility, you got to take that responsibility with grace instead of contempt. You know, like if you're can I just say this,
Yeah,
please?
Go ahead.
When you are given new responsibilities at a job and you're trying to move up, you are given a gift from God, literally to take that with grace, do as much as you can. So you are literally given the you're given the opportunity to advance. You're not given that responsibility without any consequence. The consequence, if you do well, is that you could move up. Don't think because I don't get paid more to do more responsibility that that's a bad thing. Like personally for me, in my journey, like I was doing a lot for an extended period of time when I knew I could get more. And so I finally made the jump. But it took me a while. I should have made the jump earlier, but at the same time I learned a lot by taking all those responsibilities.
It's helped you where you are now.
100%. And so when you're given those opportunities, accept it with grace and life will be wondrous for you.
I like that. And the only last thing I'll talk about work is that, thank you for mentioning that. I forgot to say that. I work so hard that I impress so many important people that when it came time for promotion, they had my back. They're like, this guy's amazing. This guy's work ethic is amazing. Smart, college graduate, does nothing but makes like everyone's life easier. And then it turned out to be, I still didn't get the promotion. But what did I do? I not just amped myself up, I worked harder. So now they're like, oh shit, this guy's even more serious.
He's driven.
So it helps, man. It helps. It doesn't, sometimes it does sadly go unnoticed. Like that's 100% a fact.
It will.
But that's why you have to be goal oriented, right? You have to know where you're going. Because the hard work with just plain hard work doesn't do anything. Sadly, that's the truth. A lot of people hate hearing that.
You have to communicate it. You have to communicate how you are doing better. And so I think in your case, you're going to be able to come back around, and be like, I didn't get that promotion when I think I should have, but now you're going to put your foot down. At that point, you can either have another offer ready that says, you know what, they're recognizing my work and they're going to offer me this. Or you can, I like what I do here. I can work with you guys. I built a relationship with you guys. All I ask is for this. That's negotiating power. But another thing, when you negotiate in those positions, you have to be willing to walk away. If you can't walk away, you have no power, zero.
Yeah, you lose your power once you don't walk away.
Absolutely.
It shows your character that you're just a pussy. But I could have said that a lot nicer, but it definitely does.
No, it can't be said nicer.
I'm gonna skip that question because we're fucking killing it, bro. I can't believe it's 10 o'clock.
Shout out.
All right, I like this one. What's your approach to setting and achieving short-term and long-term goals?
Define them. You have to define them. Define the goal so you can break it down in steps that enables you to do those steps. If the steps are too big for you to do, you have to break it down more. And don't get mad at yourself if you can't do one of the steps. Like if you, I'll give you an example of my old self. I couldn't clean my room, period. So if I can't even clean my room, how am I going to expect to clean my house? Does that even make sense to anybody? Like, if you can't even clean...
That's a good fucking analogy. I'm sorry to cut you off. That was a great analogy. Keep going.
Yeah, like, if you can't even clean your own room, why would you even scope out the whole house? Start small, and if you can't clean your room, which you can't, I couldn't, what am I going to do? I'm going to clean the top of my drawer first. If you ask my mom, she'll tell you every step I took. Every week, something changed. But I'm so proud of it because, if you go to most people's rooms, that shit ain't clean. And you know what? People talk a big game, but I'm sitting here publicly live vulnerable saying, hey, I was that guy, but now I've changed. And now that I have a more organized room, I could leave the house in 5 minutes. I know where everything is. Anything I want to do. If I want to take my camera out, everything's in the bag, ready to go. If I want to go out, wear a certain type of clothes, everything is visible to me. I actually organize my drawers in a way that I can see all my pants, all of them. So it's like, wow, I don't have to spend a lot of time doing
I
it.
like that.
So it's like, start small, execute the steps, and also reward yourself. You have to negotiate with yourself as well. Do not be a tyrant to yourself. Do not create a schedule. Do not create a calendar that you're not willing to follow. Do not create a calendar that makes your life miserable.
Mhm.
Don't expect yourself, if you have like you have a lot of way to go. If you have a lot of if you have way too much to do to get to a point, like if you don't even have a career, your room is, fucked up, and all these things, you're in debt and all this, start small. Do not be a tyrant. Do not create all these ridiculous, things to do in the beginning. Start very small and reward yourself for those small things. Like if your room, like if your bed is not made in a day, start with that. Don't even start with the whole bed. Start with just organizing the pillows. That's it. Don't do anything else. And if you're satisfied with that, then move on to the rest of the bed. You have to negotiate with yourself, and don't get mad at yourself if you can't do everything on day one. Most people can't. And when they can't, they give up and they think they can't do anything. But you have to be able to do a little bit at a time, and you will improve. And now I could do 20 things in a day instead of half a thing. But it's not always like that. But, you have to be able to get to that point.
Nah, I like that, man. That's 100% factual. It's good, man. It's a bad habit. I'm part of that category that I go big and then try to worry about it after.
Mm-hmm.
Like and I'm trying to break out of that, to be honest with you. But my answer to that is you said what's your approach in settling and achieving short-term and long-term goals? I think you definitely hit it right on the dot, but it's really knowing like you said, knowing your goals first. Like what are you looking to do? Like if let's say you want to I'm trying to use something in my life that's giving me a good example.
Yeah, feel free.
Yeah, so let's say right, I wanted to start a podcast. This is my third podcast, by the way. This is it's crazy. This is my third one. I think you mentioned it a little bit, is accepting that sometimes things don't work out. Knowing that you can give up and it's okay as long as you're willing to not give up on your long-term goal. My goal was to have a podcast. I had a soccer one. It failed. I had an Island Boys one. It didn't fail, but I gave up on it because I was angry. And now I have the Puka Circle podcast, and it's just like, all right, I've learned what I needed to learn on podcast one. I've accepted that failure is a thing, but I'm going to do everything I can in my power not to get to failure. So I done that.
Beautiful.
Number two, emotion, being lazy, also feeling scared that because of, I'm going to put it right on the spot. Fuck you, Eric. But it's not always his fault. It wasn't his fault. He was just not participating in a lot of them, but also so fearing that I wasn't able to do it alone.
So you overcame that.
Well, with this one.
Beautiful.
I closed Island Boys. Island Boys is gone. And now this one. And I'm doing it by myself. I mean, I'm getting help, right? Because you're never doing anything by yourself.
That's not a problem.
But I had to realize that, and it took me fucking 2 other podcasts to be where I'm at now, at a season 3. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's why that's why I added seasons. It's a mental thing for me.
Yeah. So it's like steps.
It's
steps.
Progression.
There we go.
What am I doing different from season 1? Season 1 was audio only. What is season 2 about? Consistency. Was it that consistent? No. Okay. Well, don't be afraid. You failed in season 2. You didn't make it consistent. But hey, there's season 3 now. Change that.
Yeah.
And what did I do in the middle of season 2? Maybe the consistency wasn't there, but I improved my quality. I took your advice. I took the feedback. I took everyone else's hints and tips, and I implemented it. And I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this differently.
It's all mindset. If you took that advice and said, you know what, he's not doing a podcast, he doesn't know what he's talking about, and you don't think like you don't take the if you take the advice and you wrap it around the person giving it, you're more likely to be like, oh, that guy, try to dismiss it. Basically, some people like to do that. If you're able to extract the advice out of the person and be able to take it for what it is, not how it's said or who is giving the advice, you could learn a lot, even if that person should not be giving that advice.
Correct.
There's a reason why he's saying something, and it might trigger just a little bit. And I'm not saying you got to listen to the guy 100%, but think about it, and that's it. Just think about it. That's all you had to do, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You thought about it, and you implemented the things that you thought were beneficial to you.
Correct. It was, and like I said, it's a lot of it's fear. It's your own self-doubt, right? And I'm building something with this. I'm building a foundation for myself, and I said to myself, I'd really had to agree with myself and say to this, even if it were not to work out in the end, I know that I did everything that I could to extend it to its fullest, which is why season 3 is not goodbye. Season 4 is not goodbye, but I will be reassured when I enter season 4 and feel happier, bro, because now like I said, it's a mental thing. It's a stepping stone. It's a way that I count my wins. Certain episodes don't go the way I want, but I say, okay, well, instead of looking at it like, fuck, like, damn, I'm so pissed. No, I look at it that's why the title for the last one, it took me twice.
Dude,
you know what I mean? It's learning and learning to accept that fucking up is okay. Like, that's the hardest thing to do.
Because it's like pride. It's pride, right?
Yeah, pride. Just fucking because you don't want to do it again.
I just want to put this out there because Puka deserves this. 3 times. This is your 3rd podcast.
Yeah.
You're still going hard. I'm
Pause.
so proud of you, bro.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, a lot of people would stop at season 1. They wouldn't even make a full season. Like myself. So look, we got to keep it 1,000. So I'm very proud of you. Keep it up. Always the micro improvements, which, I mean, we're trying something out today with this dual cam, little transition thing. You guys, I hope it's well received.
I think it's fucking amazing. When you find, like I said, you did something that my brother did really good at, and this is something that I don't give a lot of credit to my brother because fuck my brother right now. But my brother has experienced life so differently, right? It's a different life from me. Like, I can't even compare. I can't even put myself, like, I could put myself in his shoes, and my brother's lived a crazy life, right? But brother's always been wise words, great wisdom, amazing feedback. What he says to you, I'll never forget this. When we entered my house in Freeport for the first time ever, it looked like jack shit. Do you know what he walked into?
What did he walk into?
He walked into his dream home. He was able to tell me everything that he envisioned that house to be, from the sofa to the fridge to the cabinets to the floors to the railings of what he envisioned. And I learned he wasn't giving me advice, Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
He was literally daydreaming, but describing it like if it was real. 12 months later, everything he described was in that house. From his new floors to his amazing sofas that I can fucking fall asleep in, to his 70-inch TV, to his fucking new amazing wide fridge, to his new stove, to the railings being painted. I couldn't believe that someone had that much imagery and what's the word I'm looking for? Just imagination.
Yeah.
That can, and someone can just image it and make it happen. There are people like that, and my brother's a rare breed. There's not a lot of people that can go into, like, coming down here.
Yeah.
Like, even you said it, like, oh, bro, this is not how it's going to be. Like, I like that. Like, you remind me of my brother. You see something else. I just see a shitty basement.
Yeah, so do I.
You know what I'm... No, but
Yeah,
no. That's not what you said to me at first. You're like, oh, it's like this, but it's not going to be.
Well,
I already see 2 bathrooms.
Yeah.
It triggered me. You reminded me of my brother. You see the good in the bad.
Yeah, that's very important because
not a lot of people have that, bro. I'm telling you, it's a rare. Like, even though you might consider me like, wow, this kid's really good and motivational and everything, it's hard for me to see the good in the bad.
It takes practice because you have to see the bad all the time and then try to be positive, which is very difficult. But it sounds like your brother, has lived quite a life. And so he's built up that ability to just be like, the sofa's right there, and I'm going to be able to sleep on that sofa. And this is where this is going to go. And boom, boom, boom. He got it done in a year. And, bro, I mean, it just takes discipline.
You're the same way.
Yeah.
No, I'm telling you.
Mm.
Learn to accept what I'm telling you. You just said it to me previous. You've been triggering brother memories.
Mm.
You said you envisioned you saw a picture of you in your old computer, and what did you envision at that age? You envisioned where you are now.
Mm.
Not a lot of people. Like, I can tell you my goal is to be successful, but I can't look at a picture. Like, you know what? I can't look at this room and be like, this is where my studio is going to be. Like, I don't think like that. It's a way of the way that people think. And it's a good gift. It's a good gift. Not a lot of people, like, I'm owning up to you. Like, I don't have that. I can't look at something and be like, that's going to transform into this.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I think it's a learning skill because I was never always like that. I mean, I thought about when I first got the computer that I'd be a programmer because I was like, this is a sandbox. I'm able to just design whatever I want. But it wasn't always like that. And so my thing to you is just because you don't have that now doesn't mean you can't have that in 2 years, in a year, in 5 years.
That's
true. It'll be there. It could be there.
There's a difference between daydreaming and seeing.
It's
weird.
I promise you, it's all mindset.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
You just gotta be like, you know what? I will do it. I will look at this basement that looks empty, and I will think of something a little bit better. You could either do that, or you could look at an empty space that'll never be filled. I mean, it's up to you. It's all mindset. It's like, do I envision this to be better or not? Period.
I get you. I guess it's just like
It's
a
black
certain
and white
thing.
for me.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. But all right, let's move on to the last two questions because it's cold as dick down here, and I'm hungry as fuck still. 6. Let's see. Share an experience where you faced a major setback and how you turned around.
Ooh. Major setback. Okay, let's talk about. Okay, I used to have a pretty solid group of friends.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. I thought it was a setback because I used to spend a lot of time with these friends.
Gotcha.
And I thought, how can my life be, without them? Because I used to spend
So much time.
You know who I'm talking about too.
Yeah.
About 15 years with them, but I saw myself thinking, this is not how I should be treated, and it was a bad situation. I needed to get out, and I needed to do something for me for once. And so, I just have to say, like, I put myself in a hole, and that was one of the most difficult parts, I would say, because other than that, thank God, everything else has been pretty good. There has been setbacks in other ways that I probably won't mention here, but one that I would is, that friendship, and, it turned out to be a really good thing to let go. And it's actually a topic we were almost going to talk about, but I'll talk about it briefly. It's you got to be able to choose good friends. No, we did talk about it, actually. It's just been a while.
No, I think we haven't really mentioned much of it.
Oh.
That was the last question, actually. That was the last thing I was gonna.
Okay.
But keep going.
So, like, you got to be able. So if the friends that you have don't want the best for you, or filled with contempt, you can't share good news without hearing how 100 other good things happen to them, or they try to downplay anything. You got to be able to walk away. There's a beautiful quote, and it's like, life is a rocket. And a rocket, if like kind of a little bit how a rocket works, it has multiple, parts to it that contain fuel. And those parts drop off as you get to a certain altitude. So I forgot I'm going to butcher it, but essentially, those parts of the rocket fall, and that's kind of the people, in your life. They're not meant to go where you're going, basically.
Like that. That's good. Yeah, I've heard that one before on TikTok. I don't know from who.
I can't articulate. I don't know. The guy says it beautifully, so I butchered it. But essentially, not everyone's going to the places you're going, and that's okay. Just because you grew up with someone who's invested 10, 15 years, if the investment is a bad investment, get out now, or it's going to get worse. I mean, you could put it financially. You could put it any way you want. if it's a bad investment, you got to get out. Even if it's 15 years. I mean, you want it to be 20 years? Like, it's very simple to me. It's very simple. Is it easy to get out of it? No. It is. It's going to take you to your roots. You're going to challenge yourself in every way possible. You're going to doubt everything you do going forward. Did I make the right decision? But you have to trust that if that group of friends, let's say, or, specific people in your life are not in your best interest, are not going to the places you're going, you have to trust that, mitigating that is the right decision. Even if it doesn't feel like that for a year or two, you have to trust that because you originally proposed that, they're not good for you. What do you think?
I think true friendship I'm gonna piggyback off and then go back to the question.
Mm-hmm.
Just comment on your thing. True friendship is being okay when you look next to you and your friend's nowhere near you and they're in a different path and being happy with them.
Yeah.
It's being okay being in different sections of your life and not having jealousy, remorse, comparison, no kind of negative energy towards that person. Just being 100% happy for where they are, even if they're behind you or in front of you.
100%.
It's just feeling genuine happiness, right? Like becoming older, starting families, they're going to happen. I'm getting to that stage. Eventually I'm going to know the time with my friends is going to be a little bit more limited, but the relationship never will be, right? Because I'm proud to say that I've seen Mike grow up. Mike's seen me grow up. I've seen Shane grow up. Shane's seen me. We've seen each other at our worst, at our highs, never judged. And when we do judge, it's usually for the better.
Yeah.
Like, if Shane knows I'm doing something wrong, he's going to check me on it. I've seen Shane fuck up so many times where I check that motherfucker and have to tell him, like, bro, that's not the way. And there will be resistance, and this is where friendships are challenged.
Yep.
But sometimes you have to understand if it's a friend will have a difference of opinion with you, and you have to be okay with that.
Yes.
If there's any kind of anger, remorse on that, then maybe that time with that friendship has ended. And it comes true. You're right. You will let go of a lot of friends, and it doesn't mean they weren't valuable at the time. They definitely were. But at this time, things happen. You have to be okay. Honestly, I want to tell everyone this. This is something that you have to be okay dropping friends. Like, I'll give a recent example, man. Me and my ex didn't see eye to eye on certain things in the future. Not that I did not love her, not that I did not appreciate her, not that she is not one of the most beautiful people I've ever met, if not the most beautiful person I've ever met to help me grow as an individual. And me saying goodbye to her and us accepting our different paths was not easy. It was not something that I wanted to do. But she and I both understand, for the betterment of me, for the betterment of her,
you had to.
We had to. We wanted to respect our paths, and our paths weren't crossing, and it sucks. You will get to the time when you get to that point, and this is the second time this has ever happened to me, that I've had to say goodbye to someone that I really care for, that I didn't want to. And some people will tell you, oh, well, like, you didn't fight. But that's not true. That has nothing to do with fighting. It has to do with, if you really truly love that person and they have something different planned out in their lives, you have to respect that.
Yeah.
You have to honor it. You have to respect that. And you have to know when to say goodbye. And it's hard, bro. Like I said, good things aren't easy. They're not supposed to be.
They're not, yeah.
And it's challenging, man. And then you sometimes regret it. You get to this emotional state. I've been there. Too many times I just wanted to go back and say, no, this is not the right choice. But I know I have to stick with what makes me happy, because only you know the best version of yourself. But
that was beautiful.
Yeah,
that was beautiful, because that takes a lot of courage to say all of that.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely true. Like, not everyone is, it was for the betterment, like you said, for both of you. So it's like, there's no, it's difficult, yes, but it's like, what's better? I mean, are you going to stay, in a situation that isn't going to work, or, it's very difficult. It's very difficult. I'm very, that was real, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
That
man.
was very insightful.
It's just like I said, the podcast is meant to be real and help people, and it would be fake of me to not tell you, like, these are my thoughts, these are my opinions, this is what I went through, like, so those are the only real fucking examples I have, like, is my life experiences. And to piggyback on what the whole question was about is, when did you face a major setback? That's what I was going to. That was my recent most fucking hardest setback, because, like, I was literally thinking about this today, right? And I said to myself, like, holy fuck, how do I answer this question? I could talk about so many things that I've already repeated so many times on the podcast, but it's not going to be real. It's not going to, and the people that do hear it thoroughly, I don't want to do a disservice to them, but also don't want to do a disservice to myself. Beautiful. So I'm like, what helps in times of, in times that you're down? He's talking about it. So I'm talking about it. What does the best for you is communicating at full honesty. Yeah. Lying is where you put energy to conceal something. I'm not concealing anything. And it was a huge setback for me, because now I have to gather myself, use your advice that you gave me in season 2, work on myself, improve every day, even if it's a microscopic amount, and try to be a better person, because my book continues, her book continues. When you read the first 4 chapters of our lives, which I'm reading my own book, right? It's beautiful. And fuck, I never thought they would break up. I didn't think chapter 5 was going to be that way. But every book, everyone's lives are going to be different. You're going to have maybe the most amazing first 10 chapters. In chapter 11, you're going to get fucked. Yo. You know what I mean? It's just like, you don't know how life is going to come at you. And, bro, that's the honesty to it. You don't know when it does. And when it finally does, what are you doing as a person to continue writing your book? Are you going to stop there for a long time? No. You have to keep going.
That's a beautiful analogy. I mean, writing your own book, I mean, most people, like, they follow, like, celebrities, and they care about their life more than theirs. But your book, you have no idea, but your book is going to be 10 times more interesting than any celebrity you will ever watch, because you've experienced that. You've made the decisions. You're your own director in your life. You have to take full responsibility for that.
Yeah. You write who's in your book, who's not,
Yeah.
Who gets added to your book? Who do you put your memoir to in the beginning? Who do you say thanks to? Who are the people that inspired you to be here? Sometimes the people that inspired you in your book are not even part of your book by the end.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They're there for a couple chapters. That's it. That's a better analogy.
Yeah. So
I love it.
And and it goes back to what I said in the beginning. My old fucking dad telling me all this shit. I'm like, why? Because the older we get, we want to share our book. We want to share our knowledge. We want to share our wisdom. Because we don't want David Puka's book being as bad as my struggles. That's every parent's dream, is their kid not to go through the same chapters they went through. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's a beautiful thing that these older people do, because they just know what possible chapters are out there for you, and they're trying to make sure you never experience that, because it was their worst moment in their lives. You know what I mean?
That's beautiful. That is truly beautiful. And I want to give another tangible advice that's exactly like that. Whenever an old person of age tells you anything, shut the fuck up and listen, period. Because they have so much life experience. And I've learned this because I've practiced this for a decade now. I've never been steered wrong when I really think about what they say, because there is decades of information there that I am not even alive to account for. So even if you think it's bad advice, listen to it and understand why it's bad at the very least. But most of the time, especially if that person loves you, which I'm very lucky, I'm very grateful, I have a great community. A huge shout out to my community, my mom and brother and many friends, like very, very supportive community. just listening and being able to have the ability for information to come my way, I'm very grateful for, man.
That's awesome.
100%.
And also, this is so random, but I know you've mentioned this before. You ever watch How I Met Your Mother? Have you ever watched that show?
I have not.
Fuck.
Sorry, but
You should.
The podcast listeners might.
Yeah, you should watch How I Met Your Mother. It's a great show. And the reason why I tell you also when I know when you said, oh, like I'm trying out there in the dating world and everything, this is where I tell you, kid, that do not rush. I'm not saying it to be toxic or anything, because when you get there, bro, you will open up a book of worms that you never experienced in your life. Not saying that it would be your first, second, third girlfriend. Doesn't matter. Every girl comes with her new problems, her new issues, her good stuff, her great qualities. With every great quality, there's a bad quality. With every problem, there's a solution. But the reason I say don't rush is because, bro, just like this girl walks into your life,
she can easily walk out.
She can easily walk out, but it's for you to see if she's part of your life, bro. It's for you to see if you're willing to go this extra mile with her, to do the special things you do with her, to let her into the weak side of Anthony. Because eventually, brother, I promise you, someone's going to crack your hard exterior. Ooh. No matter how macho you think you are. And they're going to fucking know everything about you, where you're going to get to the point where, like, fuck this bitch. She knows everything.
Yeah.
You know?
That's guaranteed to happen, and, you know, let it be done.
Oh, shit. Ladies.
Let it be done.
Ladies, let's call 516. But no, but yeah, man. Like I said, your time is coming. You're a great kid. You're smart.
I'm all right. I'm okay.
Nah, don't say that. It made me laugh when you said the awkward shit before, because I'm like, bro, don't fucking speak that shit. You're not awkward. You're not awkward. You're definite awkward is a person that I can't talk to. So if I never said a word to you, then you're awkward.
It's crazy because I listen to a lot of great speakers, so I guess I do compare myself to them, and I'm like, fuck, I can't articulate my exact thoughts because I have a lot of crazy thoughts, but I don't know how to articulate everything. So I'm like, am I awkward?
You know Goggins? You follow Goggins?
Yeah.
He was a fat piece of shit one day.
Yeah.
And now we look at him. Like, you know what I mean? You know, I told you about Connor.
Stay hard.
Yeah. Poor motherfucker. Now a millionaire. You know what I mean? Like, people come from something. Your foundation, if you want to call it that, your foundation at one point was awkward. But now it's not. Now it's not, bro. Now it's something else, something beautiful. You're like literally just, it's just self-improving, making sure you talk highly of yourself. You know what I mean?
You have to. You can't always just, talk very low about yourself, because you project that energy into the world. And it's exactly what you said about the awkwardness. Like, if I speak and I say that it's going to be awkward,
then it's awkward. Then you're pushing awkward. I don't think it's awkward, because I've told you, man, I've been in that awkward position.
Yeah.
It's so far from there. You're good.
How do we do? No.
But with that being said, because we have recorded for how long? You tell me.
Ooh, guys.
Is it 2
1
hours?
hour and 58 minutes.
Basically 2 hours, bro. Like, holy shit. Great time. We're going to have you back. I don't know if George is going to make it a group one, but if he does, you'll be on that one too.
All right. Next pod, possibly. We'll see.
Yeah, possibly. But thank you so much for coming. Pause. For everyone that supports, continue supporting. I hope you all enjoy this episode. And if you enjoy this format, let me know so I go to Best Buy and invest into cameras.
Yeah, if you guys like it, yeah, seriously. Let Puka know. You guys are the driving factor here, right?
Thanks. Anything you want to say as a closing line?
Fuck. I wish I had something profound, bro.
That's the best way.
Do your absolute best. Whenever life throws something your way, just know that the journey of coming out of the hole that you're thrown in is the best journey. It's better than being tossed into a hole, if that makes sense.
I like that.
Like,
I like that. That's it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my bad. The only thing I'll say is a Kanye lyric. I've been listening to this song called Ghost Town, I think, lately. And his lyric, I think it goes, hold on. I want to make sure I don't want to butcher this. Let's see. Go. Okay. So in this song Ghost Town, he literally puts. Oh, is it not Ghost Town? Fuck me. Hold on.
We're working this out.
Oh. It says, "We're still the kids we used to be. Yeah. I put my hand on the stove to see if I still bleed."
Wow.
It's weird. I don't know how you interpret this lyric. You know how I interpret it? I think that Kanye's saying to me, be a kid, put your hand on the stove, don't be afraid. Because back in the day, we explored the unknown.
Yeah.
We didn't know what a stove was going to do to our hand.
Yeah.
So I like that's how I picture it. Like,
That's exactly right, I think. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I hope that's what Kanye meant. But that's my advice for the day. Thank you all for listening. Have a good one, motherfuckers.
Take care, everyone.